Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupad Paramhamsa Brivakadaradarsi Samad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Vidyate Sadṛśaṁ Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Vido Thakur Ki Jai Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Ki Jai Sri Guru Parampara Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad-gītā Ki Jai Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda, Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Tina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So reading from Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, translation and commentary, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, text number 38. Okay, good. So, please repeat. Nahi jñānena sadṛśaṁ pavitram iha vidyate tat svayam yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ kālenātmani vindati nahi jñānena sadṛśaṁ pavitram iha vidyate sadṛśaṁ svayaṁ yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ kālenātmani vindati nahi jñānena sadṛśaṁ pavitram iha vidyate svayam yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ kālenātmani vindati nahi jñānena sadṛśaṁ pavitram iha vidyate svayam yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ kālenātmani vindati.
Nahi jñānena sadṛśaṁ pavitram iha vidyate svayam yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ kālenātmani vindati. Nahi jñānena sadṛśaṁ pavitram iha vidyate svayam yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ kālenātmani vindati. Nahi jñānena sadṛśaṁ pavitram iha vidyate
Okay, Vaishnavis. Sadṛśaṁ.
pavitram svayaṁ yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ kālenātmani vindati.
Okay. So, word for word, please repeat. Na, nothing. He, certainly. Jñānena, with knowledge. Sadṛśaṁ, in comparison. Pavitram, sanctified. Iha, in this world. Vidyate, exists. Tat, that. Svayam, himself. Yoga, in devotion. Saṁsiddhaḥ, he who is mature. Kālena, in course of time. Ātmani, in himself. Vindati, enjoys. Translation Srila Prabhupada. In this world there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Please repeat. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Purport Srila Prabhupada. When we speak of transcendental knowledge, we do so in terms of spiritual understanding. As such, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Ignorance is the cause of our bondage, and knowledge is the cause of our liberation. This knowledge is the mature fruit of devotional service, and when one is situated in transcendental knowledge, he need not search for peace elsewhere, for he enjoys peace within himself. In other words, this knowledge and peace culminate in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. That is the last word in the Bhagavad-gītā. Mukam karochi vācālam pangam laitegaram yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru Didatarinam nahi jñānena sadṛśaṁ pavitram iha vidyate tat svayaṁ yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ kālenātmani vindati. In this world there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Yes. So, in the Shikshastakam, Lord Chaitanya says, vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhivādanam. So, when we're purified, then vidyavadu jivanam, one realizes spiritual knowledge within himself, because the soul is pavitram, pure. Unfortunately, because of avidya, we are trying to enjoy the material world, so we're in illusion, and we're making misconceptions all the time about what is the truth. But one who has transcendental knowledge, that means knowledge of transcendence, but knowledge not in the sense of book knowledge, but in terms of realization, right? You may have knowledge, but which is Sanskrit you can call jnān, but vijñān means realized knowledge. So yes, you may read aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate, that I am the source of everything material and spiritual, Kṛṣṇa says. So you may think, oh yes, very nice. But to realize that is another thing. To realize it, to experience. So transcendental knowledge doesn't just mean knowing facts and figure. about the Supreme Lord, the material, spiritual creation. Transcendental knowledge means to actually perceive, to cognize, to be immersed in spiritual realization. Because the spiritual platform is actual, it is there. So vidyavadu jivanam, knowledge is meant to put us in the right direction. But then svayam eva spuryada. Then by performing sadhana nicely, the Supreme Lord reveals himself. He reveals himself in his name, his form, rupa, his qualities and his pastimes. That means we experience that. Just like Arjuna experienced the universal form. So we want to experience Kṛṣṇa, but sadhana means, yes, learn the Shastra, pramanas, tad acharas, tad abhyasa nirantaran. Those are three things Lord Brahma says at the end of the Brahma Samhita. He said, devotional service, you must have pramana, you must know the Shastra. Sad acharas means you must live in a perfect, pure way. So we have regulative principles, self-contentment, no lying, no rumor gossiping, forgiveness, tolerance, sadacharas. And then nirantaram. We must work at it. We have to work steadily. Just like if you want to be a musician, you have to work steadily. You have to practice your harmonium, and then you become accomplished. So devotional service is like that. We perform the tapasya of learning the Shastra. Shruti is heard from. The Vedas are called Shruti. That means that which is heard from the bona fide authority. And then we also practice good behavior, sadacharas. And then we also become dedicated in this way. So that renders the highest levels of devotional service, directly experienced. And then we have anandam buddhivardhanam, because when Kṛṣṇa reveals his nam guna rupa lila, nam rupa guna lila, then we feel bliss. Because the transcendental world is Vaikuntha. The basis is no anxiety, but it's full of bliss, it's full of anand. Anandam buddhivardhanam. So, many great sages, millions in the past, have given up the material life, performed tapasya to experience the transcendental plane. That is the eternal plane. That is where we want to go. We don't want to stay in this cycle of birth, death, old age and disease down here. So Kṛṣṇa is explaining transcendental knowledge. So Arjuna was in avidya at the beginning, confused about his duty. But Arjuna, what did Kṛṣṇa give to him? Spiritual knowledge. You're not the body. You should perform your activities, your duties as a Kshatriya. You shouldn't renounce your duty. But you should not just do your Kshatriya duties, but you should do it as an offering to the Supreme Lord. And then you should be situated within yourself, atmarati. You should be of balanced mind. And then perform your duty as yajna. So this is the science, Kṛṣṇa explained, that I have always been teaching to the sun god, to Vivaswan and all this. Yada, I have to come again and again, because in the material world it's a dark place and the message gets subtracted, added, twisted, whatever. So Kṛṣṇa is always enlightening a series of devotees. Mahajnena katasvapantha. So those great souls, we have to hear from them. And so Srila Prabhupada has very kindly labored very hard to give us all this knowledge. So, subject is transcendental knowledge. So I was thinking, yes, okay, Prabhupada gave us hundreds and hundreds of books. Now, what is the essence of all that knowledge? Can't read 100 books in a week or two. But we can understand the essence and build all our understanding around that. And therefore, in the Bhagavatam, there is the Chatur Sloki. Now just consider, Narada told Vedavyas, you've accumulated, enumerated the Vedas, but you're not satisfied because you haven't glorified the Supreme Lord. So the Chatur Sloki of the Bhagavatam is the summation of the Bhagavatam. Just like in the Gita, we have the Chatur Sloki of the Gita. Right? You're all familiar, right? Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate. I am the source of all material and spiritual. This is those that understand this, they render devotional service to me. So this is sambandha. Philosophy, transcendental knowledge, is sambandha abhideya prayojan. The Vedas, or the Vedanta Sutra rather, has 4 khandas though, and it is broken up into sambandha abhideya prayojan and then muksha khanda, the condition of liberation. So that can be thought of also as an expansion of prayojan. Prayojan is the goal, the necessity, the aim. So the Chatur Sloki of both the Gita and the Bhagavatam, they enumerate in that way. So I thought that as we've been studying this chapter for the last few weeks, transcendental knowledge, then we'll also talk about both Chatur Slokis and maybe compare them. It's very interesting. And if we have a good grasp of both these Chatur Slokis, then we have a good grasp of all philosophy. It will purify us. Because one who has, as it says here today, one who has achieved this, accomplished in the practice of devotional of this knowledge, then enjoys, he becomes Atmarama. Right? So, this knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. There's also a sloka, Kṛṣṇa tells, that he says, knowledge about me is both scientific and mystical. Scientific means that, yes, you can use logic and argument, mathematics to analyze, but ultimately the knowledge of Kṛṣṇa is mystical. It is beyond mathematics. It is beyond logic, because we are dealing with the unlimited Supreme Lord, who has unlimited potencies and they're unlimited in depth. So we are in this material world and we have limited intelligence, limited strength, limited life, limited time. Everything is limited. So it's hard to grasp unlimited Supreme Person. But that is the actual nature of Kṛṣṇa. He is not limited in any way. He's beyond any limitation. That is the meaning of absolute. Absolute means that which is purely independent, without restriction in any way. That is absolute. Just like, for a bad example, but helps, an absolute monarch, right? There's a country and there's an absolute monarch, there's an absolute king. He can do anything he wants in the country. Nobody can control him. There's no parliament, there's no political class, there's no taxman, there's no civil service. I am absolute. So this is important. This first point about Kṛṣṇa. He is absolute. He's purely independent. So now, we said there that in the Gita, Kṛṣṇa says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate. Right? Everything emanates from me. Aham. Now, let's have a look at the Chatur Sloki in the Bhagavatam. What's the first word? Aham evasam evagre. Nan yad asat asat param prasyad aham yad ektakscha yo vishyashyeta so me aham. So, also, this is the Chatra Sloki. You should all look it up. Prabhupada written very long purports full of knowledge and slokas. So, it is in the second canto, chapter 9, and the first of the 4 slokas is 33. So, what's the translation? So it's interesting, aham. So this is not Krishna being egotistical, aham, I. This is Krishna revealing, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because what is transcendental knowledge? Vasudeva Savamiti. Everything is Krishna. And you can divide that into Purusha and Parikita. But everything is me. I am the Supreme Lord. Aham. So what is the translation? Brahma, it is I. So this sloka, it is Lord Krishna speaking to Lord Brahma, these Chatra Sloki. Here, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. Brahma, it is I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there material nature the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, and after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. So Krishna is explaining, this is the problem in India, many people think that the absolute truth is impersonal, but he's saying I, me. But we are not all one, because he's referring to Brahma. There's 2 I's, there's Brahma and Krishna. So Krishna, yes, he is individual, but he has expanded himself into many living entities. Now what's very interesting here, what is this? It says here, Krishna, I was existing before the creation. So this, he's talking to Lord Brahma in terms of the material world, the material creation. It doesn't mean that only I was existing, then the material creation. When he says I, he's talking about the spiritual world, which is eternal, eternally manifest. That was creation, aparabdha. That unmanifest spiritual was existing with me, but before the creation there was only that. And now I have manifest the spiritual creation. So I've created, and I'm going to empower you to create, Lord Brahma. And then that which exists is also, Krishna is explaining, I am the maintainer. And then he's explaining, after annihilation, that remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. So Krishna, that's why we can understand that he's referring to the spiritual, material world, not the spiritual world. Only I existed, and the spiritual world, because he's talking about the material creation. Material creation is created, maintained, withdrawn. Created, maintained. It's temporary creation. Over long, many billions of years. So, and I am that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now somebody once asked Prabhupada, they said to Prabhupada, there's a conversation, and they said to Prabhupada, yes, I believe in God, but how do I know that Krishna is God? That's a pretty good question, actually, you know. So Prabhupada said, well, you tell me a better God than Krishna, and I leave Krishna and worship that one. Until you can do that, I'm worshipping Krishna. Right? And then you can expand that, Prabhupada explaining, well, Krishna explains, I am the Supreme, aham. This is what we're saying, this is the first point. Sambandha. Everything is related to me. The creation, maintenance, everything material and spiritual is related to me. Vasudeva Savamiti. So there is no other scripture that reveals the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we don't say, just take Krishna's word for it. What does Lord, well, like I'm saying about Arjuna, what does he say when he sees the universal form? He says, pavitram idam param dhamma param brahma pavitram paramam bhavan. You are the supreme abode, the supreme power. But then he says, Narada Asitala Devala Vyas. They all say that about you. The great sages in the Vedic tradition. And also now all the acharyas declaring the Supreme Personality of God is Kṛṣṇa. Vedavyas, whose incomparable literature, the Vedas, says Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the answer to that question. I believe in God, but I'm not sure Krishna's God. Well, then study the Vedas and see if you can come across anything better, more sublime and pure than the transcendental knowledge that's in the Vedas. Instead of these man-made literature that come up and is forgotten, instead of all that nonsense, you study the Vedas. I was just reading Bhakti Vinod's last couple of weeks ago, and Jiva Goswami, he didn't accept any statement unless it was from the Vedas. He wasn't interested in the speculations of this world or Manudharma, man-made religion. He just wanted to hear what was in the Vedas. So when one has studied the Vedas, then one realizes their sublime nature. And Krishna's tu Bhagavan svayam is declared in the Vedas. So, and he declares that himself, and the great sages declare that. So the scripture, the sadhus, and the guru, and all the literature, commentaries declaring that Krishna's tu Bhagavan svayam. And Lord Brahma himself, Govindam Adipurusham, Tamam Bhajami. So we establish Kṛṣṇa there. So Kṛṣṇa, here he's saying, I'm source of everything material and spiritual. Here he's saying, yes, he's referring in this nature, I am the source of the creation, maintenance and destruction of the material energy. So it's an interesting contrast. So, let's now look at number 2. Now, we're just going through the basic points, but if you want, you can read all the purports. So, number 34. Right. Ritay ritam yad parityeta na partiyeta ātmani. Tad vidyate ātmano mayam yata basho yata tamaha. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. So now we're talking about the material energy again. In the material world, people see things without transcendental knowledge, and they don't see the connection to the creator, maintainer of the material energy. And this is within their consciousness. That which is relation has no reality. So this is the understanding of avidya. Avidya means exactly that. It is within the consciousness, and it is based on a lack of perception of Kṛṣṇa and how everything is related to Kṛṣṇa. So that is maya, that which is not. It is a misunderstanding based on a disconnect of one's perception with the actual source. Kṛṣṇa says, what does he say in the Gita? Matak paritram nanyad kinchidasti janandaya. That everything, there's nothing beyond me, everything rests upon me. Sutre mani guna iva. So that is reality. And then Kṛṣṇa gives to Lord Brahma, know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Now that's a very nice analogy. What does it mean? That reflection which appears to be in darkness. So in Egypt, they have opened up many tombs and old buildings, and they find that there's no lamp wax on the ceiling, no smoke. So they think, and there's no electricity cables or anything. They're supposed to be thousands of years old. And they're thinking, how did they see inside these corridors? Well, there is one theory. That was that, Egypt is a very sunny place. They had big mirrors in the sun, and it would concentrate the sunlight, and it would go down the corridors, and it would be reflected within the corridors. You understand? So the sunlight is there, but it's going down, and then it bounces off the mirrors and it illumines the inside. So one section inside the corridor, that reflection which appears to be in darkness, they're in darkness, they're in the corridor of the tomb, and they say, oh, there's light reflected here. So that is like Krishna's illusory energy. It appears to be the source of light, but it's actually coming from the sun. It's coming from outside, but it's reflected. So in this way, people are looking at the shadows and reflections within the material energy, and like I say, they're not seeing it in terms of its relationship, gross or subtle, to the absolute Supreme Lord, because everything is resting upon the Supreme Lord. So therefore they're discussing, right? Like now they're fighting in Ukraine. So somebody's saying, I think the Russians are correct. No, people, the Ukrainians are correct. Now in Egypt or Israel, they're thinking, the Palestinians are correct. No, the Zionists are correct. Everyone has got a kind of understanding, but they don't understand that everything in the material world is a big field of karma, and it is all going on in that light. They don't see that in relationship to the Supreme Lord. They don't see the events in relationship to the Supreme Lord. So the sage, Pandita Samadashana, he doesn't take sides. He knows that everything is going on under the supervision of this Paramatma. Everything is going on very nicely. Very scrupulously, Kṛṣṇa is giving people the fruit of their karma. And that is the correct understanding, Pandita Samadashana, because this Pandit sees everything in relationship to Kṛṣṇa. Whereas, so he is seeing the sunlight, whereas the materialist is just looking, he's within a cave, and he's seeing shadows cast from the cave entrance, and he's seeing shapes, and he's thinking, I believe in Marx. No, I believe in Darwin. I believe in mathematics. I believe in this. They're all interpreting, but they're not seeing, which is the real understanding of transcendental knowledge. They're not seeing in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And that is the fact, because everything, as we say here, in the first one, number 33, I am the source of everything. I am the creator, maintainer, and when the material world is wound up in its cyclical fashion, it all comes back into me. And I am, as Lord Brahma says, sarva karana karanam, I am the cause of all causes. All the principles in the material nature are resting upon me. I am the lawgiver. It's scientific. But it's mystical because it is done by my absolute will. So this is the meditation of a devotee, to understand Kṛṣṇa. Everything is carrying on in both a logical and a mystical manner. So you can analyze things mathematically and chemically and biologically, but it's not the full picture. The full picture is that everything is resting upon the Supreme Lord. So just like in the country of India, for example, we have laws, but they're resting upon the government. So it's foolish to think, oh, we have laws, but no government. So actually all the material creation, yes, it is working according to physical and chemical laws, but their laws are created and are resting upon the potency of the Supreme Lord. So, otherwise we're just seeing the reflection which is in darkness. Now, in the second chapter, second verse of the Chaturshloki in the Bhagavad-gītā, we get into Abhideya. Maksita matkata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayanta shamam nityam tushyanti cha romanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Shravanam kirtanam Vishnu smaranam padasevanam. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another, and conversing about me. So Kṛṣṇa is giving Abhideya, right? The devotional life is devotees share their realization, and we feel great ananda and a bliss and satisfaction from that realization we get in sadhu sangha. And that stands... so here, Kṛṣṇa is saying how to become connected to Kṛṣṇa. But here, in the second of the Chaturshloki in the Bhagavatam, Kṛṣṇa is stressing the illusory energy. But by implication, he's saying you must see everything in relationship to me. So it is not like you can say, this is more Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevan. The thoughts of my devotees dwell in me, manmana bhavam. They're devoted, they're dedicated to me, they're performing bhakti. Kṛṣṇa here is still saying in a very philosophical way, understanding the illusory energy, it is that which appears to have no connection to me. So this is another angle that he's giving to Lord Brahma, particularly because Lord Brahma is going to be the secondary creator. Kṛṣṇa is the efficient cause, Lord Brahma is the immediate cause. So, the third sloka, that was 34, now 35. Yata mahanti bhutani bhuteshu ya vashe anu. Pravishyanti apravishyanti tata teshu nateshu aham. O Brahma, know that the universal elements, you see, Kṛṣṇa is teaching Lord Brahma all about the creation. Enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also within everything, exist within everything created, and at the same time I am outside of everything. So what does that mean? The material elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter the cosmos. That means that we know from Bhagavatam that the Pancha Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air and ether, these are the great elements. And often the material energy, though it has working senses and knowledge acquiring senses, these are the great elements because they are the basis of all the material elements. So yes, they are within the universal shell. There are many, many, many universes explained in first canto, but they are within a shell. Just like a coconut. It has an open area inside and it has a shell. So yes, and they're layered. Inside is the earth layer, then the water layer, then the fire layer, the air layer, and then the ether, and they expand out and they float in the pradhan, in the causal ocean. So some of the material elements, the prakriti, enter into the planetary systems, making the planetary systems, making water, fire, air, combine the bodies of so many living entities. But at the same time, they are not entered into the center of the cosmos, they are in the shell of the cosmos, in different layers, maintaining the shell of the universe. So Kṛṣṇa is telling Lord Brahma that he's giving that idea. So similarly, even though I am expanded as the energy, I am still separate. I keep my separate existence. Because that is one of the material mistakes, logic. If I expand, then I'm decreasing myself. but we know from Ishupanishad, Om Purnamada Purnamada, that Krishna is perfect and complete, and he expands out into the energy of his creation, but he himself is not depleted. That's why we say ultimately everything is beyond mathematics, because Krishna creates everything. Now if I take all the money out of the bank and I create a house, then my pocket becomes empty. But Kṛṣṇa, he creates everything, but he's never diminished in any way himself. So Kṛṣṇa, he expands into the material and spiritual world, but he himself is never diminished in any way. So this is the mystical aspect. Knowledge of Kṛṣṇa, transcendental knowledge, is both logical, scientific, analytical, but it is beyond ultimately, because Kṛṣṇa is the absolute param tattva. So that's what Kṛṣṇa is saying to Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma, you understand that I have created and I've entered into the universe as Paramatma, but I'm still residing in Golok Vrindavan, beyond this material world. So I'm both within, and yet I preserve my independence and separate existence above the material energy. So it's giving a good picture to Lord Brahma. So that one is 35, 33, 34, 35. So the third one here, now you see, very interesting. So number 2 was the thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. That's bhakti. Now, number 10, third of the Chatur Sloki in the Gita, Tesham satada yukta nam bhaditam pratibodhavakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. Right? To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Right? So this is contrast, is not? Here, Kṛṣṇa is explaining that I enter into the material world. So yes, I am present in the material world, and I accept the devotion of my devotees directly and personally, because I am seated within their heart. And I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Right? Here it is again. Please note that as the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time, do not enter into the cosmos, similarly I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time I am outside of everything. So here Kṛṣṇa is explaining, I give the understanding, now you're devotees, so you understand. That's because Kṛṣṇa is within the heart. Kṛṣṇa is present everywhere as Paramatma. Everything is resting upon him. So he gives understanding to his devotees. He's giving Arjuna very intimate devotional knowledge. And here he's telling Lord Brahma that I am within everything, actually. I am present everywhere. But I'm still maintaining my independent existence as the absolute liberated Supreme Lord. So, we have to go very fast. So the purports are very long, and I was reading them, but you can do that yourself when you have time. 33, 34, 35, 36. Where is 36? So this is the last of the Chatur Sloki, 33 to 36 of chapter 5, Canto 2. 36, where are we? Here it is. Etavad eva jñāsyaṁ tattva vidyasuna ātmana anvaya vati ke kyabyam yatsyat savatra savada. So this is the final sloka of the 4. A person who is searching after the absolute truth. Right? I'm within everything. I'm separate, Kṛṣṇa has said in this Bhagavatam, Chatur Sloki. The personality of Godhead must certainly search for it up to this. in all circumstances, in all space and time, both directly and indirectly. Directly means I'm directly within the material world, but indirectly you can say I'm also in the spiritual world. So you must search for me in the material cosmos, and you must search for me in my abode in Goloka. And must certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time. So we know how does the Brahma Samhita, the Vedanta Sutra start? Atato Brahma Jignas. Now you're a human being. Inquire into the Supreme Lord. What is what is supreme? So the Supreme Lord is revealing himself, but you have to find him also. He's giving so much knowledge. And so Kṛṣṇa is explaining here, Atato Brahma, now. So Kṛṣṇa says you must search for me in all circumstances, in all space and time. That is manmana bhavamad bhakto. The devotee is always searching for Kṛṣṇa. Right? Like the 6 Goswamis. Hey Radhe Brajadevake, hey Nanda Sunokato. Are you in Govardhan? Are you on the bank of Radhakund? Are you by the Jamuna? We're searching for you. Of course, this is the ecstasy of the Mahabhagavats. So the sadhakas, though, they must search for Kṛṣṇa in all circumstances. And that will give them realization how everything is related to Kṛṣṇa. And Kṛṣṇa gives that realization, and that's number 4 of the Bhagavad-gītā. I give the understanding, right? Number 11. Tesham evanukam patham aham ajnana jam tamah nashyami atma bhavashto jnanadipena vashvata. Out of compassion for them, I dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So Kṛṣṇa is saying here to Lord Brahma, you must search for me. But here he's explaining, yes, you search for me and I will give you all understanding. So it's interesting to see how it's the same theme, but actually in the Bhagavad-gītā, it's even more devotional, if you would say. Kṛṣṇa is explaining to Arjuna, because he's a great devotee, and he's reassuring Arjuna, I am your friend, I'm the Suridam Sarvabhutarnam. So now I give the teaching, I give you the understanding by which you can be conscious of me. So there it's more formalized in one sense. He's telling Lord Brahma, this is the Maya Shakti, this is how I've expanded into everything. But then he's giving more intimate knowledge, in a sense, in the Bhagavad-gītā, because he's saying, if you're devoted to me, Arjuna, then I will reciprocate. Ye tam mam prapadyante tam stay bhajamiyaham. So, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So it's 7 o'clock, we got a new battery in the clock. Any quick question? Second canto, 5th chapter, verses 33 to 36 inclusive. 2, 5, 33 to 36. So you can see it's more philosophical with Lord Brahma. But those 4 slokas, that is the summation of all the Vedic knowledge in philosophy. Because I am expanded of everything, of the living entities. So somebody may say, okay, if you're everything, then why is there the Maya Shakti? Right? If you're everything, why am I not seeing? And that is because you're trying to enjoy the material energy. You're not seeing it in relationship to Kṛṣṇa. So this is very key point. We're in illusion because we don't see things in relationship to Kṛṣṇa. So the converse is true. That is avidya. If we want vidya, we should see Kṛṣṇa within everything and everything within Kṛṣṇa. Just like Mother Yashoda, right? She put Kṛṣṇa on her lap. Kṛṣṇa, the cowherd boys say that you've been eating earth. Open your mouth. Let me see. Kṛṣṇa opened her mouth, and she saw the whole creation within Kṛṣṇa. And then she also saw herself within Kṛṣṇa's mouth, within the creation, with her, with Kṛṣṇa sitting on her lap, within the mouth of Kṛṣṇa. So this is a Chincha Shakti. Everything ultimately is beyond material calculation. So the devotee goes beyond purely scientific knowledge. There is one sloka in the Vedanta Sutra, Tarkena apratishtat. Means that Tarkena means argumentation, apratishtat. You cannot get the absolute truth by tarka, by argumentation. You may argue one way, I can argue another, he argues, blah, blah, blah. No, it is svayam eva spuryada. It is revealed. And how it is, by that devotee who is devoted to Kṛṣṇa. Manmana madbhakto is thinking about Kṛṣṇa, but in a devotional way. Paramo nimacharanam. He accepts Kṛṣṇa as his worshipable Lord. And then Kṛṣṇa responds. Kṛṣṇa said at the beginning, right? I'm revealing you this knowledge, Arjuna, because Bahashake Mahash, because you're my friend. You're always my friend, and you're my devotee. So I reveal everything. So there's that also in the Bhagavatam, right? Vedesha durlamam adurlamam atma bhakto. You can study the Vedas thinking I'm very smart, I know Sanskrit, and I know all this Nyaya and logic, but the import of the Vedas is only revealed to the devotee. And so you don't need to know Sanskrit ultimately, you just have to have faith in Kṛṣṇa. Like Bhakti Vinod. Kṛṣṇa, I give everything to you. My geha, my griha, my mind, my body, I give it to you. I surrender it all to you. Now if you want to maintain me or throw me down, okay. But if I have to be born again, let me be born again in the house of a Vaishnava, even as an insect. Because there the devotees will be talking about Kṛṣṇa. So that's what I want. So that is the devotional mood. It is based on attraction to Kṛṣṇa. But primarily at the beginning, vidyavadu, we must gain spiritual knowledge, and we must meditate on this knowledge, try to realize it. But we must also realize that Kṛṣṇa is unlimited. He is beyond calculation. And we can use that as something to contemplate, right? When we're chanting, we think, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. I'm meditating on the unlimited Supreme Lord. Please, Lord, give me revelation of your unlimited nature. And Kṛṣṇa, Eko Yoda Dadati Kaman, he will give us, right? Ye prasade pure sarva asha. Kṛṣṇa, the Guru, they like to enlighten us. So this is bhakti. The karmi is doing his yajna. I'm doing a good yajna, using my money, gold plates, ghee. The jnāni is thinking, I'm very smart, I know, I'm very intelligent. He's using his brain. The yogi is doing his kaivalya, he's trying to meditate. I'm going to realize the absolute truth. But the bhakta is thinking, oh Kṛṣṇa, if it pleases you, please give me a little intelligence to understand you. Tesham satadha yuktanam. Show me how to come to you. You bring me to you. Right? What's that sloka Lord Chaitanya says? Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam vishvaivamdo kripayatam pankada strutidali sadṛśaṁ vichintaya. That yes, Sanananda Maharaj, I'm fallen down. You pick me up. I can't pick myself up, right? And then what's the next one? Nayanam gladis rudharaya. So I will chant like following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis. Oh Kṛṣṇa, I'm fallen down. Where are you? I'm searching after you in every time and place, like it says here in the Chaturshloki. In all circumstances, in all space. So that should be our focus, right, of our consciousness, to see everything in relationship to Kṛṣṇa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we'll finish at this point.